Fragcom's going crazy with all the hate and recrimination. It used to be a place about fun and education, reviewers calling other reviewers dumb and retarded. I can't remember how this insanity got started. People getting angry about Jeremy's new release. When will this anger and animosity ever cease? You Smells Good told us who he couldn't stand. Now he's gone, he can't sit all day and talk about Galan. I need something to pull me out of this slump. I'll put on 50 sprays from my atomizer pump. No, that didn't help and I'm still feeling alienated. I wasn't even one of the people Eugene berated. I wish I'd wake up and it would all be a dream. I'd be in bed watching Lex Ellis and eating ice cream. Maybe I'll spray on some Dolce Gabbana pour Homme to get me back in the fragrance-loving zone. I wonder if anyone's made a clone.
Hello everyone, welcome back to all of you in the Smelly Army. So today we're going to be having a look at two fragrances from the house of Alexandria and comparing them to the original fragrances that they're based on. Before we get into that, if you are interested, I have a new thing called the Smelly Army Private Members Club. You can join it by following the link below there. There's an extra video every week and a lot of fun interactivity in there. Small fee to join, but it's a new thing I'm offering. It doesn't detract from what I do on normal YouTube. Still, as usual, going ahead with 2 or 3 videos on here every week. But some bonus stuff, extra videos, sometimes a bit of a different format in the Smelly Army Private Members Club. Some of you may enjoy it. We're having a good time in there with the people who've joined so far. Into today's subject matter then. I've been sent some fragrances from Alexandria. Of course, they're famous as a fragrance house who make inspired expressions or clones of other things. In this case, we've got one based on Creed's wonderful Spice and Wood, and the other one is based on Dolce Gabbana pour Homme, the vintage Italian version that you can't get anymore. They sent me quite a few fragrances a while back. They were sent to me for free. I'm not trying to just hype up the thing that they've just sent me 2 days ago, because they sent me 7 or 8 a couple of months ago at least now, and I've really been having a think about them, and I just want to share the ones that I find most interesting with you. So we'll start rather with La Dolce. We'll start with La Dolce Vita. This is Alexandria's inspired take on Dolce & Gabbana pour Homme, the original Italian-made eau de toilette. So if you have a sticker on the bottle of Dolce & Gabbana pour Homme, it means it was made in Italy, and that is the formula most people say is good. A few years back they changed it. There's no longer a sticker on the bottle, and most people say the formula has suffered. So Alexandria have attempted to revive the glory of the old formula with this fragrance, La Dolce Vita. I'll read you the note listing for the original Dolce & Gabbana pour Homme and just talk about why that's such a good fragrance first. So it has notes in it of bergamot, tangerine, orange, lemon leaves, lavender, sage, cardamom, pepper, cedar, tonka bean, sandalwood and musk. It is a beautiful citrusy aromatic fougere type fragrance with a lovely combination of fresh mandarin, citrusy kind of stuff. Tangerine actually is the listed note. Very nice lemon leaf orange combination in the opening, really beautiful, and then the very pleasant undertones of some woods, some musks and lavender, and this rather unique or very significant thing of a tobacco leaf accord in here, which is really exquisite in this fragrance. So it's fresh, it's masculine, it's citrusy, but it's got a little bit of depth. It's got quite a lot of woodiness in there and some herbaceous aromatic kind of notes. You've got the sage, the cardamom in there. It's quite complex actually. It's a little bit synthetic smelling, but it's very pleasant, and one of the best real classic designer fragrances of the 1990s. So sadly it was reformulated. The new one doesn't suck in my opinion, but doesn't quite have the magic of this one. Suffice to say, it's just a little bit more thin, maybe more of a standard kind of citrusy thing going on, but not so much of the herbaceous stuff, maybe the oak moss that was in the old formula, not sure. But a really great fragrance, and of course you're going to have a hard time finding the old stickered bottle. You can find it on eBay, but it might be a very high price. So Alexandria bring us La Dolce Vita, which is their attempt to copy effectively the old version. This one on the company's website, I think the price is, it only comes in one size, 60ml, which looks like this, and it's $37.99, which equates to around £29. So reasonably inexpensive fragrance, not mega cheap, but that is fairly inexpensive. How close are they then? So the opening on the Italian-made Dolce & Gabbana pour Homme, really exquisite, fresh citrus with this herbaceous element, very nice indeed. Actually, the Alexandria one doesn't quite do it for me in the opening. It lacks the citrus crispness of the opening and tends to smell more like the dry down or the mid and the base from the very off. Once the fragrance develops on my skin, they get closer and closer as every hour goes by. After an hour, or let's say 2 hours definitely, it really becomes hard to tell the two fragrances apart. I've got them here on my hands, just sprayed a few minutes ago. So I wouldn't say they've totally nailed it on the opening, but with the dry down, they get very, very close. Particularly when you smell it on your clothes the next day. When I've been wearing La Dolce Vita, you really get this overwhelming reminiscence of, oh yeah, it's that Dolce Gabbana Pour Homme, that classic smell many people will look back to with great fondness from the 1990s. So the performance on it, very, very good. I find the original Dolce Gabbana Pour Homme vintage version not perform particularly well. Many people say it does. I haven't found that. It's just about okay, but not great. And the Alexandria one, they often have, I think, a higher concentration of oils than a typical designer fragrance. So this one does really last really, really well, and it projects quite strongly too. In both cases, more so than the Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. So very, very good in the dry down, not so great in the very, very opening, but it gets really, really close to the original fragrance over time. Not identical, but it's in the kind of 90% kind of zone in the terms of the dry down. So you might find this a very, very good alternative if you cannot source a bottle of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme vintage, or you just don't want to use up your precious one that you're saving. So really, really good, and I think it's interesting when fragrance houses do this. I know Alexandria do one that's based on Dior's Fahrenheit. I think there's an Egoist, Platinum Egoist version based on some vintage formulas, and you can't really knock them for that because they're not copying anything that's already out there on the shelves. There's no other way we can get that smell unless we find an old vintage bottle. So I think it's an interesting phenomenon with the clone houses doing old vintage stuff. The other one that they've done is their version of Creed's Spice and Wood. This is a beautiful fragrance which has rapidly become one of my favourite Creeds. It's very, very expensive to buy the Creed fragrance because I think 75 mils is around about 330 something pounds retail. You can get it a little bit less, but it's on discounters, but it's still very, very expensive. That's a 75ml bottle. Beautiful design on the bottle, you have to say, and it's a beautiful scent. Let's tell you about the notes on Spice and Wood, why I like it so much. Apple, bergamot, lemon, angelica root, pink pepper, vetiver, patchouli, cloves, pimento, birch, iris, cedarwood, oak moss, and musk. So it is very spicy and woody. It has a lovely crisp kind of apple note in there, a certain freshness about it, quite a bit of sweetness, and I would say a note of vetiver, giving it a really nice warming, spicy, woody tone. Very, very classy, elegant fragrance. Could be a signature scent if you like things like Aventus, but you want to move up the next level in an even more classy fragrance. Maybe a little bit more of a warmer smell, more appropriate for colder seasons a little bit, but very, very versatile, very pleasant, and everyone that I've asked to smell it always really likes Spice and Wood. Okay in performance actually for me. I get good performance out of this, not everyone else does. So Alexandria have brought us their version of it, and they are calling that Arabian Forest. I'm not sure how that links into Spice and Wood, but never mind. The note listing might be a little bit different here and there depending what website you go on, but we'll assume it's kind of the same notes. And this one I've really been impressed by. It's pretty much spot on, more so than the other one actually. I can barely tell a difference between the two, and I honestly do mean that. The opening, even in the opening, it really is hard to tell any difference between the two of them. Maybe if you really dig your nose in, there's just a tiny bit of something, a tiny bit more magic in the Creed one, but it really is a case of digging in very hard, which in the real world people aren't going to be doing. In the air around you, I am very hard pressed to tell a difference between the smell of these two fragrances. The performance on both is very good, so the Alexandria one really good in performance too. So this is one of my most recommended ones that they've sent me, and I do tend to focus on the positives. I've picked out the ones that excite me most. I'm not just trying to hype up whatever Alexandria send me, but I am really impressed with this one. Of course, because the price difference is so big, it makes it even better, because the price for 30ml of this is $42.99, about £32 that equates to, or you can get a 60ml one for $62.99, roughly about £48. So compared to the Creed one per mil, it's a hell of a lot less money, and it really does smell so close that you'd be hard pressed to notice. So I must say, big thumbs up for these two. The biggest thumbs up probably for Spice and Wood, but I think the Dolce Vita does do a pretty good job of giving you the feel of the original D&G Pour Homme, more so than the modern version on the shelves. I think you'll get that it's more like the vintage than their modern version of Dolce & Gabbana Prom. Both well worthy of your consideration. Not everyone likes clones or inspired expressions, so let me know what you think about it. I am, open to a bit of criticism on this, but I do think a lot of my viewers will be interested to hear about the ones that I did today. So as ever, thank you very much for joining me. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.